Welcome everyone to the penultimate round of the Tata Steel Masters 2024. On your screen is Alexey Sarana, who started off the tournament brilliantly but then has had two back-to-back losses. And his opponent is Praggnanandhaa, a very strong player who has played a brilliant event here at Tata Steel. In the previous round, he just beat Fabiano Caruana. Pragg is right now trailing Gukesh by half a point. With 2 rounds to go, Pragg has everything to play for, and this is a very critical round for him because he has the white pieces, and with Sarana not in form right now, he will be trying to get the full point against him. You can see Pragg adjusting all his pieces there. Gukesh is playing against Jordan van Foreest on the adjacent board. Will Pragg manage to win? A shake of hands, and this, dear friends, is the ambit recap of the day. Just like always, Pragg takes his time and then opens the game with 1d4. Sarana brings his knight out to f6 and Pragg pushes his pawn to c4 and e6 played. Pragg brings his knight to c3. He's ready for the Nimzo Indian because then you can have a fight here and play for the full point. But Sarana plays the Queen's Gambit declined. Now Pragg takes the pawn takes, and this is known as the Carlsbad structure here. The bishop comes out to g5, and of course the threat is to take and pick up the pawn on d5. Sarana plays his pawn to c6, strengthening the center. Queen comes out to c2, stopping bishop f5. g6 is definitely playable. So is knight a6 here. Let's see what Sarana plays. He goes bishop e6. And this is slightly lesser played move, but has been gaining popularity recently. Now pawn comes up to e3. So the idea now many times for black in this line is to play h6 and g5, but Sarana goes knight bd7 and Pragg plays this interesting move bishop e2. His point is, if you go h6, bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, there's no knight h5 now in the position. So that's one thing. Now with bishop d6 coming in, you will suddenly notice that if the bishop came here, then it's already attacking the bishop on d6. So there's no need to stop knight h5 with this bishop. And so he actually moves the same piece again with bishop d3. And this could be Pragg's preparation. Very interesting bit of prep here by him. Now clearly you can't castle yet because of bishop takes h7 check. The knight is pinned here. So he plays his pawn to h6. That's logical. And Pragg would want to keep the pin going. So bishop h4 makes a lot of sense. He brings his bishop back here to h4. And now Sarana pushes his pawn to g5, attacking the bishop. Pragg brings his bishop back to g3, offering a trade. Do you want to trade the bishops? Do you want to play queen e7 to defend the bishop? Let's see. Bishop takes g3 happens here. And now if h takes g3, it opens up the rook. And so Pragg thinks for a bit whether he wants to take with the f pawn, which looks ugly. Yeah, h takes g3 is on the board. The rook has opened up. And now Alexey plays his queen to e7. He would like to long castle here. That's what he would like to do. And now knight e2 is a possible move. He brings his knight to f3, threatening to take the pawn on g5, and then the rook on h8 would be hanging. Black can simply long castle here and have an equal position, but instead he goes g4. Now this is not a great move because it gives up the h4 square, and Pragg thinks for a bit and plays knight h4, and this is looking really good for him because now all his pieces are looking at the f5 square, and there's no easy way to open up the king side. So Pragg can even go short castle, and even if black goes long castle, it would be an opposite side castling and an interesting position for Pragg to attack on the queen side. So here Pragg does castle without any fear. Short castling would not be a good idea here. Your king is just too weak. So if Sarana wants to park his king somewhere, it has to be on the queen side. And he plays it. He goes long castles here. And let's see what Pragg finds here. He plays a4. Very logical move. He wants to go a5, a6. Just open up the queen side. Alexey puts his king on b8. It feels like the position has become slightly one-sided. Pragg is unable to, black is unable to do much, while Pragg is just pushing his pawns, trying to open up things. Now when the knight moves, you can even go a6, slightly softening up the structure. Knight jumps to c4. And now a6, b6 and knight a2 is a very nice idea, with maybe queen a4, maybe b3 and all of this happening here. Instead, Pragg goes knight to a4. He wants to keep this pawn here. He wants to park his knight on c5. And he gives an opportunity for black to play a6 to stop the pawn in its tracks. So knight comes back to d6. And let's see what white does now. He plays knight to c5. So the knight on c5 is looking at the b7 square, is looking at the e6 bishop, a6 played by Sarana, and I think that's a good decision by him. He tries to stabilize the structure. At the same time, now the knight on c5 cannot be moved at all. Rook comes to c1. Pragg brings another piece onto the queen side with the bishop looking here and the knight looking here. There could be a potential sacrifice coming in. Both the players moving around after their moves. Now Alexey decides to reinforce his structure here with bishop c8. You can see how the bishop defends both b7 and a6 pawns. And the queen goes to b3. So the idea now is to sack here on a6 or bishop a6. So king a8 is the best move. And black is doing completely fine. The position is roundabout even. But he goes knight b5, and that is a huge mistake. Will Praggnanandhaa be able to spot this mistake that Sarana has made? Because there is a strong sacrifice with knight takes a6 coming in. Pragg looks at the position. How do these players understand that this is the critical moment? Well, this is what they have been training for years. To spot such moments, to be able to give up material. Yes, knight takes a6 has been played. Brilliant move by Praggnanandhaa. And you have to take back with the pawn. And the reason why this position is winning is twofold. One is that after rook c6, bishop b5 is coming. But the other is knight f5 actually makes the queen move and the f6 knight drops. So it's a very, very dangerous position here. Rook d7 played. And now you can go knight f5. And you can see Alexey Sarana looks completely dejected there. He knows that in just a matter of couple of moves, his position moved from being equal to totally lost. But Pragg is so focused. He goes knight to f5, attacking the queen. The queen moves back. And now Pragg takes the knight on b5, opening up the position. Pawn takes. And you don't want to be playing queen takes here because of rook b7, and black is back in the game attacking the knight as well. Instead, Pragg goes for a beautiful move a6. And with this now queen b5 becomes a real threat. And black is still a piece up, but he's totally lost here. Rook a7 played. Let's see what Pragg chooses now. He can take the pawn on b5. He takes it with a check. King goes to b7. And now he brings his knight into the game. Knight d6. With the threat of queen b7 check. Bishop comes out to d7. Oof. And Pragg goes queen b7. What a move there by Praggnanandhaa. Because if rook takes, pawn takes, king b8, rook a8 is a checkmate. And a fantastic finale. You can see Faustino Oro there, completely stunned at what Pragg has done there. Amazing finish. And with this, Praggnanandhaa scores an important win, moves to 8.5 out of 12. Gukesh drew his game against Jordan Van Forest, which means Pragg is now in joint lead and has great chances of winning Tata Steel Chess 2025.
But Pragg, your game today, very interesting opening. First of all, one opening move that really made a impression. Just if you could take us through bishop e2 move, very cool move. Is it a new idea?
Yeah, I didn't know bishop e6 in this position. I knew after h6 and bishop e6.
But
And
you played
here-
so quickly.
Yeah, the reason is because I looked at h6 and bishop e6, and here bishop e2 is an interesting move. The point is
There are
that
no games, Pragg, in Bishop E2, so it's amazing that you played it on the board.
yeah, the thing is, yeah, we looked at it like few months back, and the point is, if bishop d3, now you got g5 and knight h5, and with this bishop on f6, it's much better for black. I mean, not it's equal, but much better in the sense like it's better version.
Right.
So you start with bishop e2, and after black,
Plays bd6.
yeah, after black plays bishop d6 or bishop d4, then you go bishop d3. I was wondering if there is any difference like queen a5 or something, or like bishop b4, like quickly getting knight
Attacking
e4.
the
Yeah.
bishop.
So that's why I spent a bit of time, and then now it's more or less direct transposition. I was wondering if I could go bishop f4, but I didn't like takes. Yeah, he suggested knight e4. I saw queen e7 during the game. And he goes long castle. Yeah, this I didn't really like. And here actually I was already quite happy. A long castle is...
Actually, g4 turned out to be a sort of
Yeah,
positional
g4
error, right?
Yeah, g4 is bad. I think knight h4 is important because knight g1 is very tempting. You sort of like
To go
bishop
to
e2,
E2.
bishop d3 and knight f2, knight g1. It's very nice, no? But I think he always has this counterplay on the king side, and with knight h4 I just stop it, and now I just roll on the queen side.
You didn't have double thoughts about long castling, like you were sure you wanted to go short.
No, by this point yes, because long castle doesn't make sense. Sure, it's just fine for him. Because after sharp castle he just doesn't have a counterplay. A4 and
Yeah, we were thinking whether you will go a6 here or not.
a6, b6, knight a2. I didn't see knight a2.
But even just okay, I thought c6 pawn would get weak with b3 and stuff or not. Like
I don't know, I didn't
rook
think about it.
c8
e4 this is nice actually. Yeah, I saw this knight a4, then he goes knight d6. Knight a2 is very clever.
What is happening if I take on
Knight A4,
c6
knight
there?
A6,
No,
then-
rook c8, queen is trapped. That's the difference, because if knight a2, knight d6, there's queen c6. And with knight a2, I'm threatening e4.
And if rook c8? Now?
e4.
Okay.
This is very nice. This is nice idea. Knight a4 is very tempting. But then I realized, actually, it's not easy to break.
Yeah, this is always tough.
So I decided to just make a move. Oh, king a8 is just zeros.
But in the game you must have felt you are better.
Yeah, I was playing like I was better. Is that knight some knight a4? It was just zeros. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, it took me some time to realize this is just over.
Yeah, it was a huge advantage. Oh, what a
Wow,
finish.
beautiful.
Because we didn't look at the last move. So that's a very cute finish here. Queen b7. Wow.